it's High Speed 2 that I work on. It's controversial. I think it's been slightly missold because it's not about high speed, it's about more seats. One of the worst things you can have when you get on a train is if there's no seat. You could be going all the way to Birmingham, which is about an hour and a bit, standing all the way. But if you can guarantee a seat, and if there's competition in the seats, which means that the prices can be more affordable, that means more people can get on the trains. If more people get on the trains, that means they're not driving, which is going to really benefit the environment. And equally, by moving the fast trains off of the tracks we've got right now, that will mean that we've got space freed up on the existing lines, and that can be used for commuter services or for freight. Freight's wonderful because you can get hundreds of lorries worth of material on one train, which the emissions of it are like a tenth of lorries, so that's a really great thing if we can do that as well. But right now we can't do that because these trains are going at like 60 miles an hour, say, and then you've got a train trying to do 125 miles an hour behind it. Just means you have to leave very big gaps, and it's quite inefficient. Whereas if you had lots of slow trains going at the same speed, then you can shrink those gaps down and you can get more trains on that track. So from that perspective, I'm really supportive of it, and I'm hopeful that it's going to leave a lasting legacy of sustainable and hopefully cheaper transport. With my job, I work in the railway. I heard about this group called Youth for Sustainable Transport. They were organising a trip from the continent up to Glasgow and working with different train companies to get these trains laid on. There was about 500 volunteers all piled onto this train, and they came from Brussels, from Amsterdam, and then some people from Paris, and they all joined on different bits of the train, and we all joined up. I joined it at Brussels. We sat on the train doing lots of different kind of mind mapping and ideas and creation. When I was in Glasgow, I went around lots of different talks. So we had Indigenous people from the Global South who came up, a couple of fortunate people who managed to make it, because this COP26, because of the vaccine inequity, people from the Global South couldn't abide by the rules to come up, which meant there was a lot less representation from the South, which meant that unfortunately their voices weren't being heard. We had some speeches and listened to them and gave them a platform so that they could have their voice heard, even if in the global village, the UN sector, it wasn't being listened to. The kind of community groups came together under the COP coalition, and we had things that we could listen to. And there's an interesting one from Tonga. So there's a guy who's worried about his island going underwater. He was the only person from Tonga who could make it. And then obviously Tonga got hit by the earthquake and the tsunami very recently, and I was thinking about them and how vulnerable they are because they don't have much high ground. They've got a volcano in the middle, and then a lot of low-lying areas where the houses are. So if the houses get washed away by tsunami or sea level rises, they haven't got much hope really. It's wiped out their crops, it's taken their houses away, and so it's quite a tragic thing for them really.
Sadly,